Thank you, William. It's wonderful. So, looks like William Penn is here. He's our special musician and also as a very special house musician this time because Rick is off right now. We have Dr. Maurita will be giving our message this morning. And if you would turn off your phones or put them on silent during the service, that would be great. Thank you.
Now I have an opportunity to turn on my sound. Now I'm alive. It's a pleasure to see you come here and greet and meet the people who were brave enough to come out in all this rain this morning. And we especially thank the people who are on the internet looking at us, perhaps the ones that are going to be looking at us this service this coming week. We welcome you from the bottom of our hearts. It's wonderful to have everyone within listening distance with us today. Now, I usually start with a Bible verse, but I came across a meditation by one of our really distinguished ministers. I wanted to share it with you. It's called The Answer Within You. In quietness and in stillness, there is a strength and a confidence that comes over us. Because of this surge of self-assurance, we find ourselves moving in the direction we feared before. Whereas before there was confusion, now there is peace. Whereas before there was weakness, now there is courage and wisdom. And the Master said that the answer to every problem is within us. He meant what he said. The only peace we ever experience is the peace that reveals itself in us. The only love we ever feel doesn't come from the outer, but from within us. And it is our willingness to turn within that reveals to us that all things are possible when we live from within out. Within you is the kingdom. Take time to be still throughout the day, to enter your closet and shut the door, that the imprisoned splendor may escape as the health of your body and the harmony of your home. These lovely words were originally given by Dr. Al Salazar, who is the minister. He is the minister emeritus of the Divine Science Church in Washington, D.C. Very, very spiritual man and a fine speaker. Good to be able to share that so many years probably after he said it. Shall we say our statement of being together? It's such a rock bottom, such a foundation, a wonderful foundation for our living and for our day-to-day challenges. Together, God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God, and am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance.
Very love is as fair as the day that blesses my way with love. The way that he loves is as soft as a breeze that caresses a tree at night. So tender and precious is he, contented with Jesus our King. The way that he loves is so thrilling because his love reaches in and near. The way that he loves is as deep as the sea. His spirit shall be my say. The way that he loves is as pure as a rose, much sweeter he grows each day. His peace goes through like a dove. I know the heaven above. Jesus softly, life's a wonderful thing because of the way he loves. Jesus softly, life's a wonderful thing because of the way he loves. I am weak, but thou art strong. Jesus, keep me from all wrong. I'll be satisfied as long as I walk. Let me walk close to thee. The closer walk with thee. Granted, Jesus, if you please. Slowly walking close to thee. Let it be, dear Lord, let it be. This world of toils and snares. If I falter, who cares? Move with me, my burden share. None but thee, dear Lord, none but thee.
Thank you so much, William. That was fun. Well, now is that very important time in our service when we just get still. Life is so busy. It demands a great deal from us. And so now we have the wonderful opportunity to put everything aside, all the things that have been concerning us, the things that we're looking forward to, the things that, well, that could be improved, or this is not very good. All that we release from our minds, close our eyes, get still, relax our shoulders. We carry so much tension in our shoulders. Feel the tension, stress, just ebb away. And we know within ourselves the truth that will get us through every challenge, that will make every interaction a loving, a joyful one, that will give us insight and an inner power to heal ourselves and heal relationships. What we do is know right now that God, omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent, God, love in action, is not only all around us, but within us. God doesn't stop at our skin. He is that underlying energy that is the basis of every material thing. The original energy, an energy of love, of infinite power, and ultimate wisdom. Right now, God within fills our consciousness. This kind of quietude enables us to have creative ideas pop up in our minds, solutions, insights, new directions, healings that enable us to forgive and release, that enable us to see things that we need to change within ourselves. How wonderful to have this time. How important to ensure that it is part of every day we live. We are strengthened from the inside out. We are enlightened, we are healed, we are dramatically and beautifully loved. So right now, starting now, and for the next 90 seconds, I invite you to release whatever troubles you, whatever concerns you, whatever negative feelings or thoughts you might have been harboring. And instead, know God here, now. All love, all power, all wisdom, within and without. Here, now, within and without. Come unto me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Oh, what a blessing it is to rest in the knowledge that the Father and I are one, just as Jesus said, just as Jesus experienced Him. We include within our consciousness of God's presence here, now, everywhere. We include all the people we love, the people who we're just acquainted with, we nod at or smile at, those who we don't love so much, those who perhaps trouble us. All are included in God's love, God's presence, God's good. And we do the same. We live in that light that never ends. We are supported and sustained by it and always will be. Today and every day. Amen. And now shall we use this beautiful translation of the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who is everywhere, your name is sacred, your kingdom is come, your will is throughout the earth, even as it is throughout the universe. You give us our needful bread from day to day, and you forgive us our offenses, even as we forgive our offenders. And you let us not enter into materialism, but you separate us from error. Because yours are the kingdom, the power, and the song and praise from all ages, throughout all ages, sealed in faith, trust, and truth. Amen. Excuse me. Today I'm going to be talking about Emmet Fox, a modern mystic.
Would you like a little water?
No, I'm good. I don't think water is going to help somehow. But thank you for the offer. You know, I've always admired Emmet Fox. I've read a great number of his excellent books and pamphlets, and I know and have enormous respect for the fact that he filled Carnegie Hall with its 5,000 seats Sunday after Sunday for many years. And believe me, that leaves me more than a little bit impressed. Of late, I've been reading several books that include a number of facts about his background. And I've had the dawning realization that it was no walk in the park for him. He had to overcome some very serious obstacles in life. And that makes me even more impressed than before. But his slow but steady triumph over these obstacles using strictly spiritual principles is a wonderful example for me and for anybody, actually. All of us have right now and have had obstacles in our lives. And how he overcame his is worthy of some serious attention. Dr. Fox's parents, who were both Irish, actually lived in the United States for some time, but then they returned to their native Ireland just before Emmet's birthday, which was in July of 1886. His parents were devout Catholics, He greatly admired and loved his father, who was a physician and surgeon and later became a member of Parliament. His father wanted him to follow in his footsteps, but his mother, Margaret, who was a deeply religious woman, wanted him to become a priest and a healer in the Catholic Church. That was her dream for him. Now, whatever possessed her to want to do that or have that for him? It seems that starting from the time he was about 6, whenever his mother had a bad headache, Emmet could put his hands on her forehead and the pain would go away. It would be replaced by a feeling of peace. She was so sure of his healing gifts that when a household maid fell very ill and became semi-conscious, actually, she took him to her room and told Emmet that he could heal her. Well, he nervously touched this girl's forehead and said in a strong voice, "Mary, you're going to be well." In a short time, her fever left her completely, and she was well. So even at that very early age, he inwardly knew the secret to healing was deep faith. And that was something that he had from his earliest memories. Sadly, his father died when Emmet was less than 10 years old, and so his mother's influence on him became even more pronounced. He was an excellent student, but he was very, very shy. He gradually began, though, speaking out, questioning, and giving insightful answers to his teachers. He was a student all his life because he was so curious about so many things, interested in so many things. When he died, there were more than 2,000 books in his library. So he read deeply on countless subjects. While he was still in his teens, his mother put him in a Jesuit college that was just outside of London. It was there that he learned about silent prayer and contemplation. But in his late teens, he happened upon some books on metaphysics. Catholicism just didn't have any answers to why he could heal people. But the spiritual books that he found, along with a lot of other study with other spiritual teachers and healers, they had answers for him. And he was eager to find out everything he could. One very influential teacher and friend was the famous English metaphysician and author Thomas Troward. Perhaps you remember that name, Troward. Another of his teachers was Harry Gaze, a divine science minister, actually, who became a lifelong friend and who later wrote a book about Emmet. He finally left the Jesuit college, and he graduated from another college with a degree in electrical engineering. He never formally left Catholicism. He never turned in his resignation or something like that, because he didn't want to upset his mother and his sisters. They had been so kind and never questioned him or criticized his faith, which had grown past Catholicism and in a much larger direction. So he didn't tell them a great deal about what he believed. He never actually shared with them the outstanding success and fame that he had achieved in the United States. They only found out about that after his death. They were told that he was an author and he had so many people who followed him, to their astonishment. Apparently, Fox had a number of serious childhood illnesses that left him frail, and sight and hearing difficulties were part of that frailty. He never discussed these problems, physical problems, with anyone. No one. He just continued persistently and patiently with his spiritual practices until he achieved very good health. That good health permitted a dynamic speaker to appear in Carnegie Hall week after week. Emmet Fox, though, was a typical introvert. He was a lifelong student of an enormous variety of interesting subjects, who could have chosen a quiet, private life as an electrical engineer, which he did for a number of years, but instead he followed this powerful inner spiritual impulse to share the great spiritual truths that he had learned, to share them simply with anyone who was willing to hear them. First, though, he found fulfillment in his passionate desire to know God. He later wrote this: "To come into truth with your whole body is to bring every conscious thought and belief to the touchstone of divine intelligence and divine love. It's to reject every single thing, mental or physical, that doesn't square with that standard, divine intelligence and divine love. It's to revise every opinion, every habit of thought, every policy, every branch of practical conduct without any exception whatever. This, of course, is something absolutely tremendous. It's not mere spring cleaning of the soul. It's nothing less than a wholesale tearing down and rebuilding of the entire house. Is it any wonder that all but the very strongest spirits shirk it? And yet, is it any wonder that without it, one never really does get anywhere deeply spiritually? Daily meditation and prayer, what he called entering into the shrine of silence, became for him a lifelong practice. And it brought an almost uncanny wisdom and creativity. That kind of single-minded devotion changed him from the inside out. He lived in a consciousness of the presence of God. All those years before he came to America and started his ministry, he became so well-grounded in metaphysical truths that he was invited to speak on a number of occasions in various large halls in London, where he made his home. After that, he did a lecture tour through England, Scotland, and Ireland, and he was very well received. He decided to take a chance and visit New York and to lecture wherever he was invited. A man who attended one of those lectures was a man by the name of Dr., or rather Reverend Herman Walhorn, who was a secretary at the Church of the Healing Christ, a divine science church. At the time, they were seeking a minister to succeed their present minister, and Herman Walhorn recognized the unique talent that Fox had. Emmet Fox became the minister of the Church of the Healing Christ in 1931, the depths of the Depression. He built it into the largest church, certainly in our country and perhaps in the world, because he had the ability to make complicated subjects understandable, simple. The integrity in life that he required of himself was passed on as an obligation to those who wanted to really learn from him. They too would expect absolute integrity from themselves. That effort alone changed their lives for the better. Fox believed that the why of a way of spiritual living was important, but what was much more important was the how. How did you do it? Throughout his ministry, Fox taught that faith Faith was the golden key to living life with an inner sense of peace, with health, harmony, with success, and with a basic happiness. He said, even a little faith produces surprising results. He emphasized the importance of overcoming fear. He said that the greatest mistake people make is having fear, which of course is a lack of faith. Fear prevents us from taking the next important step. He said, when fear creeps in, faith flies out of the window. Faith is the factor that actually gives the power of conviction to any thought. Now this conviction impresses the thought on the subconscious mind, and it is the subconscious mind that shapes and structures our outer experiences. So the result of ongoing fear thoughts is that they attract more and more reasons to be fearful. Like attracts like. And the opposite is equally true. Faith in God, the certainty that God is right here, that God fills this whole universe, and that whatever situation we are facing is being healed. God is the ultimate power. That kind of thinking is equally powerful in influencing the subconscious mind and thereby solving the problem, reducing it to just a tiny bump in the road of life. Fox emphasized the practice of the presence of God as the best way to avoid fear and live in the peace that faith brings one. Despite his dynamic, powerful presentation whenever he was in the pulpit, Fox just had a basically shy nature. And this caused some people to think that he was kind of a cold person, but his close friends knew him as very good-natured, lively, witty. And they were also awestruck at some of the things he did routinely. On many occasions, before he had a half-hour prayer treatment that people could sign up for and come in and enjoy with him. Before that started, Fox would tell this stranger what difficulty he or she planned to ask that prayer for. He knew in advance. It was the time when he was strolling down the street, and he changed direction, went quickly to the curb, and pulled two little girls away from the curb just moments before a speeding car rounded the corner and bounced up on the sidewalk. The bystanders were absolutely amazed that neither he nor the little girls were hurt. And finally, there was the time when a close friend of his by the name of Arthur was on a train that hadn't started moving yet. It was crowded. And Arthur had just sat down and started looking at his newspaper. And this train was hit in the rear by another train that was speeding. Of course, Arthur was thrown from his seat. And when he tried to stand up, his legs felt numb, and he shouted out for help. And to his surprise, he saw Emmet Fox. Arthur thought that he too must have been on the train, but Fox told him to get up. And he said, "Something's happened to my legs." He tried, but he couldn't struggle to his feet, and so Emmet Fox helped him to his feet, helped him to stand up and get to the platform where a medic was waiting and ready to help everybody, including Arthur. Fox reassured his friend that he was going to be just fine. And then he gave the medic Arthur's full name and address, and he also gave the medic his own name and address, along just right there at that time. Well, the place was crowded and confused, and Arthur realized after a little while that Emmet was not there. He wasn't on the platform anymore. But when he got home later in the day, of course, they had to take him to the hospital and check him out and all that. Arthur phoned Emmet to thank him for all his help and to say that he really was feeling fine. But he was told that Dr. Fox was at a conference in Ireland and wouldn't be home for another week. What happened that day remained unexplained. And Arthur was afraid to ask him about it. So he never knew. Emmet Fox was a mystic. He was a man with so many, many gifts, the greatest of which was his devotion to and practice of the presence of God. He walked in God always. Now, in just the small space of a Sunday morning talk, I couldn't possibly describe more than a very few of the wonderful things he said and did. But this morning, I brought a number of his booklets and other excellent divine science writers, and they're right there on the chair. I want you to help yourselves. Take a bunch of them. Take lots of them. Give them to your friends. And you will be pleasing me, and you will be pleasing your friends and yourself, because they are really excellent. We give thanks for that man who died 70 years plus ago, for all that he did, all he said, and especially for his devotion to God. Let's bow our heads and realize that what he had to say, though simple in many ways, is true to truth. We can read it and internalize it and live it and have it bless us in ways we can't even imagine. Emmet Fox is still blessing people through his books and pamphlets, so long after his death. We give thanks to God for these lights, these spiritual lights that come along and make life so much better. Thank you, beloved friend, companion. Thank you, dear God. Amen.
I wish you bluebird in the spring, give your heart a song to sing, and then a kiss. And more than this, I wish you love. And in July, illuminate good events and leafy glade. I wish you health, more than wealth. I wish you love. My happy heart, and I agree that your life should be filled with glee. So encouragement you'll always get from me. I wish you shelter from the storm, a nice cozy fire to keep you warm, but most of all, the snowflakes fall. I wish you love. encouragement you'll always get from me. I wish you shelter from the storm, nights because they're trying to keep you warm. And most of all, there's no flex fall. I wish you love, and most of all, at least begin to fall. I wish you love, and most of all, when Robin sings, I wish you love. I wish you love from within.
Thank you so much for you. That's lovely. Well, it's now time to give thanks for the gifts that we receive, the gifts that we are the source of to other people, the gift of life itself. We're told that, whatever we give, we get. Whatever we give lovingly is multiplied 10 times before we get it back. So we give thanks right now for all of our blessings, our gifts, and we give of ourselves both through this prayer and in so many ways that only we know. So shall we read it together? Today I acknowledge God, omnipresent, as the source of all good, as the source of my good. With this acknowledgement, I accept God's will, which is abundance in every aspect of my life. I release all thoughts of lack and limitation, and I am open and receptive to the increased flow of abundance to me right now. I joyfully accept the gifts of life and give freely of the special gift that I am. Through me, God omnipresent blesses and multiplies this gift for all. Thank you, dear God.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thank you, a few people that showed up this morning. Thank you so much for being here. First off, I want to thank the people that came out Friday night to help clean this carpet. Pam and Judy and Martha, Tanya and her 2 sons. They did a great job. Got it done really fast because we were all working together. So we really do appreciate everybody that showed up to do that. And as Pam said, we could probably do it again this weekend and it would still bring up some dirt. So anyhow, but it does look a lot better. So thank you all for coming and helping do that. The update on the flooring is that hopefully the new flooring will be in on Wednesday, and they'll start working on it either on Friday or the following Monday. I insinuated to the salesman that the contractor that was here last week cannot come back, so they were getting another contractor that will be working by himself, so it will take a little bit longer to get it done, but that's going to be in process right now. So, but I'll know more for sure Wednesday if the flooring gets in. If not, we'll move on until whenever it does. So, just want to keep everybody updated on that. Also, we moved the prayer box. We've always had this prayer request box, and it's been out of sight, and people just kind of been throwing it in the basket or whatever. But we moved it all up here after we cleaned the carpet Friday. So it's up here, the prayer box and the prayer basket's got names in it. So if you've got a prayer request, go ahead and put it in that prayer box, and we'll get it out and make sure it gets out to the prayer group. Also, the donation baskets are up here. As you know, since COVID, we stopped passing the basket, and this is going to continue to be our new process, is to have the baskets up here instead of passing them. So if you want to make a donation, we will feel free to drop it in the basket up here, or do it online, whatever you want to do. We appreciate that. Also, if you want to make a special donation for the flooring, to help pay for that, when you put it cash or whatever, check, make sure you specify that you want it to go for that, so that you all can keep those funds separate. The other thing is that there's been some people that have had COVID within our church families and within our families, and also not only COVID, but there's another virus that's going around that has sort of the same symptoms as COVID. And so anyhow, I know we've had a lot of outbreaks at work also. So I'm going to tell you again, your option is to wear a mask. I'm asking you to be safe wherever you go, and because some people aren't being cautious. So we've been very fortunate so far with our keeping our people safe and well as we can. So I'm asking you again, I'm not mandating it yet, but if this thing gets out of hand again, we will mandate wear a mask, but I'm asking you to please be cautious, and the option again is to wear a mask, but to be safe, I would like to see some masks on these faces when we're out and about. I know that when, we do pretty well here, but I know when people go out in public, they tend not to follow the rules, and I think that's where a lot of people pick up things, is when they go to the grocery store or the gas station or whatever, they tend not to put those masks back on or to wash their hands. What is it about washing your hands? I don't understand. So why people don't wash their hands. But anyhow, I just wanted to pass that out there. So did you have anything?
No.
Okay. The other thing is the flowers this week. We have 2 beautiful sets of roses. The ones on the top, Maurita sponsored for Lisa's birthday.
Yes.
Okay, and the ones on the bottom were a gift to us from Tanya and her sons when they came the other night to clean the carpet. And so feel free to take some of the ones on the bottom, because they were.
Take them from the top.
Oh, I thought maybe you were going to take them to. Oh, you're not going to Lisa's. Okay, all right. Everybody help themselves to roses because we have goodies. So, okay. So thank everybody again for they're beautiful. Thank you. Anybody else have anything? Let's go eat cake.
Oh, we have just one more thing. One more very special thing that we're going to do together this morning. We are going to pray the prayer of protection for the people of Ukraine and for wherever in this wide world people are at war with one another. Wherever there is hunger, wherever there is lack of shelter, wherever there is fear. Lots and lots of places to pray for. Shall we read this beautiful prayer of protection now? The light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. The mind of God guides you. The power of God abides in you. The strength of God renews you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is well. Shall we spend perhaps just a minute or so knowing the truth, knowing that God is right there with each and all, and blessing those people, unknown to them, but blessing them nonetheless, helping them. Shall we close this morning's service by praying together as we have for so many months now praying for our own country and the many controversies and difficulties that have been revealed are among us. Shall we know the truth that wherever God is, there are solutions, there is good, and we affirm that good right now for the next 90 seconds. Thank you, dear God,